Knock, knock. United States Coast Guard keeping our borders safe from drugs and unwanted. Let's go.
At the end of last year, I spent some time at the Coast Guard Training Center in Cape May, New Jersey, which is boot camp for the Coast Guard.
Get upright. Fly away from me.
I did a video, look in the description about this boot camp. Business Insider does a great job. I still can understand what he's saying. Just as bad in the U.S. Marine Corps, but this guy is just a moaner of sorts.
And I wanted to see what these recruits do after they leave Cape May. I wanted to see what they do after they graduate.
All right, interjection here. These guys go from boot camp to the Fleet Coast Guard, right? So they don't go to MOS school first. That was interesting to note. I had no idea. I guess they go to MOS school after the fact, which seems like a pretty good deal because they get into it and decide what they want to do. But being from Florida, I can attest, they do a lot of drug interdiction.
After seeing a lot of headlines, I saw that the Coast Guard in Miami was very active in terms of drug interdiction and also dealing with illegal immigration. In 2019, the Coast Guard in Miami has been involved in a major seizure of cocaine. Also, you've had migrants intercepted in the region of Miami.
We have to build the wall. It will get built. We're going to complete it.
Right now, the eyes of the world are focused on the U.S.-Mexico border.
The drugs and the human trafficking and all of the things that pour into our country, it's so terrible.
While the U.S.-Mexico border definitely deserves attention.
You figure the border, the land border is protected by the Border Patrol, but the water border by the Coast Guard. So these guys are critical. If you're from Florida, you can attest to this. The amount of drugs that would flow in from the waterways is significant, not to mention the illegal migrants, whatever the current term is, get caught by the Coast Guard. So these guys are doing yeoman's work.
Attention and resources. These other ports around the country, there is a massive amount of activity that's being monitored by military and law enforcement resources. I wanted to go see what the Coast Guard in Miami does on a daily basis to stop the flow of illegal immigration and drug trafficking. The Coast Guard in Miami combats drugs and illegal immigration from the air and from the sea. On day one, I was at the air station in Miami, where a fleet of airplanes and helicopters are always standing by to perform search and rescue, which is a major function of the Coast Guard in Miami.
Our primary mission that we have here is search and rescue, or SAR. We also perform our secondary mission of law enforcement. Typically, that's just going to be us going out there to be the eyes in the sky for our surface assets.
My day at the air station, unfortunately, was pretty boring because the weather was terrible. There were no search and rescue calls, thankfully, which means that people were smart enough to stay off the water on a day when the weather was so bad.
You'll read periodically in the paper about guys going out, say on the 4th of July, 6 guys in a 20-foot boat, 20 miles offshore, and the Coast Guard snatches them up and saves them. Very impressed by these guys, not to mention I had a buddy, got out of the U.S. Marine Corps as a machine gunner, spent 20 years in the Coast Guard, loved it. He said he never fired a machine gun so much until he was doing drug interdictions out of the Keys.
The next day, it was sunny. I got the all clear to join the Coast Guard on the cutter known as the Robert Yared that patrols the port of Miami.
We're heading outbound from base Miami Beach, so we're just gonna head offshore here to begin our normal patrolling operations, looking for vessels of interest and really anything that's standing out of the ordinary.
We set out into the port of Miami. And we got out about 5 miles offshore, and the seas were pretty rough. It looked like a nice day, but it was very bumpy. On the stern of the cutter, there is this fast response boat that they can deploy when they need to quickly engage a potentially suspicious vessel or to conduct routine boardings of vessels for inspection. Before
my experience was the Coast Guard was me and the kids were out on the boat riding. They pulled me over in a cutter almost this side and asked for flotation devices. So doing their job, checking for inspections, but at the same time, there must have been 6 or 7 kids holding M16s looking at me as they looked at my paperwork and also to make sure I had a square flotation device. So they cover a lot of ground.
Before I boarded the small boat, they outfitted me head to toe with rain gear, so I was essentially waterproof. I was on the boat with 4 other Coast Guardsmen. Once we're all in the boat, we simply slide off the back. And we are out in the open ocean. I mean, it's a small boat and you're out there and you really feel it. It was bumpy. It was.
Growing up in Florida, I can attest the waves can go from nothing to seasick in about 2 seconds. So I'm not sure if Graham got seasick on this trip, but the Coast Guard, I would say, would be more likely for someone to get seasick on versus a big Navy vessel. You guys got any experience with that? Let me know.
It's wet. All I brought was this little GoPro camera, constantly getting splashed and sprayed as we cruised around the port. We came upon a fishing boat. It looked like a pretty normal fishing trip, 5 or 6 people on board. Our boat pulled alongside theirs, and the Coast Guard said that they were going to perform a routine inspection. 2 Coast Guardsmen boarded that boat, and then we essentially kind of pulled away. We sort of just trolled around, staying within proximity of the boat. I wasn't too concerned that anything was suspicious or out of the ordinary while this was happening. It seemed pretty routine.
I can tell you that's the bitch about this whole thing. They're not looking for drugs. Let's say they see it, but they go around the checklist these guys have for stuff you're supposed to have on the boat. You don't have. I could tell you, I said earlier about my experience with this square flotation device. They basically detained me or wouldn't let my vessel leave until I got it. So they go through these boats and they look for everything. So to that point in the Coast Guard, I'd hate the job being the nanny state of the world.
You know, I kind of felt bad for the people on the boat because this kind of interrupted their fishing trip. And I asked them, you know, why would you stop a boat that looks like it's just a bunch of guys having a fishing trip? And they said that oftentimes drug smugglers, people trying to smuggle migrants into the country, they will use boats that look like this to make the Coast Guard, to make law enforcement think that it's just a regular fishing boat.
Yeah, it reminds me of stop and frisk in New York City. You get detained whether you like it or not. That's a question for you guys. You think they should be able to detain you, basically stop and frisk you when you're fishing? Again, my experience, it was kind of annoying. I was just tooling around in a 24-foot fishing boat in the backwater of Florida. But I don't know what the answer is. If they catch drugs, but if they stopped everybody walking down the street because you could have drugs, right? That would be a problem. But in this case, the Coast Guard can do it. Don't have an opinion. What do you guys think?
This is the boat that the Coast Guard caught trying to smuggle in cocaine last month. I mean, it looks like a regular fishing boat. It looks like the boat that they boarded while I was embedded with them. They have to assume with these routine inspections that there's always a chance that you could find something illegal, something that needs to be stopped from entering into the United States. Then we finally, about 20 minutes later, got the signal that the inspection was done, and so everything was fine. There were no drugs, no migrants on board or anything like that. Everything checked out. At first,
Yeah, everything checked out. These guys got sobered up and ruined their fishing trip, right?
you know, I felt bad that these fishermen were interrupted, but the Coast Guard was just doing their job.
I agree, Graham. That'd be a total buzzkill if you're fishing in Miami, spending a bunch of money burning through diesel waiting for these guys to check for flotation devices and whistles.
My biggest takeaway from my time with the Coast Guard in the Port of Miami is that these men and women that work at the air station or on these cutters, every single day they enter the Port of Miami not knowing what to expect. I didn't know what we would find. There was a chance that we could run into a hostile situation. Nothing about my day with the Coast Guard was dangerous, but it just made you appreciate the fact that every day these men and women put themselves in unpredictable situations, all in the name of trying to keep us safe.
I would agree that's not an over dramatization like most things in the media. These guys are always doing something, especially in Florida. Whether it's drug interdiction or helping somebody who went out offshore and has a boating problem, it's never in good weather. It's never at a good time. You know, they're going out with helicopters and boats hunting for people. You guys want to see more stuff on the Coast Guard, let me know. If you like this video, check out the videos above, and I'll see you there.